गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णू गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय, महायोगी स्वामी उमानंद सरस्वती की जय। We had taken a break for 2 days because right now I am also on my 4th volume of Guru Charitra, which also reflects about 2 great saints and their lives and works, Narasimha Saraswati and Sripad Sri Vallabh. About them too I will have a lot to tell, and these saints are there in the intro video that we have with each one of our videos. You will see the photographs of these saints. Today, but however, before I proceed to these new works, I would like to talk about Sant Jnanadev. Now, there is something very unique about this saint. There is something very unique about this saint. As a very young boy, most of the saints were enlightened at a very young age because they are incarnations. So when they come itself, they come with a cause. How many of us we know our cause on life in the world? We don't know what we are here for. Whereas the saints, the major difference between the saints and us is that they know what they are here for. So they can live it fully and completely. So here we have to make a design for ourselves, whereas they come down with a design. So that's a major difference. However, Sant Jnanadev is supposed to be the very incarnation of Lord Narayana. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna has voiced Bhagavad Gita, and the very Bhagavad Gita has been explained a little more elaborately in Prakrit Marathi and extensively, I would say elaborately and extensively, by 9,000 couplets. They are in Prakrit Marathi, slightly ancient Marathi we would call it. And this was done by a boy of hardly 15, 16. And this is supposed to be one of the best commentaries on Bhagavad Gita throughout all the writings which we can gather together. This saint is from Maharashtra. He was born in a family which was again initiated into by great saints like Gorakshanath, and the family was that of Vitthal Pant and Rakhumai. Now these two, she is also sometimes called Rukmini, Vitthal Pant and Rukmini, the parents. Now this was the second child in their family. The speciality of this entire family was they all lived to withhold a very powerful concept, that is Guru Bhakti Yoga. They have lived every minute of it, the parents too, as well as the Sant Jnanadev, and they have absolutely given the complete in and out, a science, the study, complete study of Guru Bhakti Yoga through their lives and through their works. This is one of the major school of thoughts which is being practiced by the today's practitioners. Even we practice that. And Guru Bhakti Yoga, it is devotion to Guru and live by the command of Guru. Of course, today somewhere there are doubts about these sort of situations, but we will take the best of each school of thought, and I too would like to contribute to the thinking, the best side of Guru Bhakti Yoga. Now there was one very subtle story which I need to tell you here about the parents of Sant Jnanadev. The parents of Sant Jnanadev were Vitthal Pant and Rukmini. Now Vitthal Pant was basically, the father himself was a great student of philosophy, and he would continuously be practicing and studying. And he was a great devotee of Vitthala. He was a great devotee of Lord Vitthala. Now, every now and then he would be inspired to take sannyas, that is, leave the family and go. And he was almost out on with the same purpose of going into sannyas, where he happens to meet Rukmini's father. And this father, on seeing Vitthal Pant, felt that this was most ideal a boy for his daughter Rukmini, and he requests him to come home. Now the boy goes there. At that time, Vitthal Pant must have been about 19 or 20 or whatever you call it, a young age. And then when he went there, the father said that here is my daughter Rukmini and I would like to ask you to accept her in marriage. Now the boy Vitthal Pant said, no, I am into my field of spiritualism and religious pursuits, so I will not be able to do justice to this girl, so I shall not accept it. So the father says, why don't you do one thing, stay overnight for a day and see what your Vitthala has to tell you at night, and then if the next morning if you still feel that you are not interested, then you will be free to go. Of course, he was a sattvic person, a very sober person, and therefore he could not deny a request of an elderly person, and he decided to stay back. Vitthal Pant stayed back, and when he stayed back at night, it is so said that Lord Vitthala appeared in his dream, and he says, well, here is the girl you need to marry, because she is going to be responsible to give birth to the 4 greatest souls on earth. And the vision came to an end. Now it is so said that when Vitthal Pant the next day woke up, then of course he very silently accepted the girl in marriage, and the marriage took place. The rest story you can read it on your own from any works of Sant Jnanadev. There are many available at Alandi, which is a place where Jnanadev's temple is erected, and millions of people, lakhs of people I will say, go there on certain days, the Ekadashi and Yatra. There is a pilgrimage which goes from Alandi to Pandharpur, that is to meet Lord Vitthala. Now, this family, they started the matrimonial life, but however, Vitthal Pant continued to crave for his sannyas, and he would daily ask the girl, Rukmini, is it okay if I go? Is it okay if I go? Just one day, unknowingly, unconsciously, I mean, she was not conscious of what he was saying, so she suddenly just turned and she says, okay, yes, okay, you go. The moment she said that, he as if it was like a chance he got, and he left the house. Now he went into the woods and he found his own guru, a master, and he started practicing his spiritual life. He took sannyas. Now the same master once visited Rukmini and saw that here is a young girl. She is not pleasant, not very happy, and she is worshipping with tears in her eyes. So he says, what is the matter? Why do you look so sad? So the friends around her, Rukmini, told the guru of her husband, Vitthal Pant, that her husband has left to take sannyas. And so he turned back and he says, so you must be having some children. So she says, no. And then, of course, the guru realized that here was a man, her husband had left without completing his duties towards the family. And because of that, he felt that the man should be asked to go back to the wife. It cannot be that you accept sannyas without completing your duties towards the family if you are married. So our religious values does protect even a family life. So he goes back and he sends Vitthal Pant back to the family. Now here was a very challenging situation during those times, where the words like sannyas, where the words like Brahmins, these words were very strong, supposed to be strongly withheld. They were strongly held up by the society. So when the sannyasi, an ascetic who had already left a family, vowed to be there only to serve God, now if he comes back into the family life, obviously it was like a retreat, a breaking of certain laws of sannyas, and therefore the entire society stood against that. And it was, whether right or wrong, if you only look into this direction, that what if he was not checked, then there would be other thousands of people who would want to go into sannyas and then come back to normal life, and probably it would have been a chaotic school of thought, sannyas. So therefore, whatever was done, we will not think about it whether it was right or wrong. We will just understand that this had happened. And when they came back, the parents were they were blamed for it. They were blamed for it, and they were sent into exile. They had to leave the town and stay out of the town borders, and in that isolation, the couple lived with, of course, their minds were set on God's worship, and therefore for them the journey was not difficult. They were enjoying the spiritual development and living a family life too. At that time, these 4 children were born. First, the eldest was Nivruttinath, who himself turned out to be the guru of the second child, Jnanadev, second son, and third was Sopan, and fourth was a lovely daughter who is named Muktabai. Now they were also said to be the incarnations of Lord Shiva in the form of Nivrutti, Lord Jnanadev Lord Narayana in the form of Jnanadev, then Lord Brahma in the form of Sopan, and the Adi Shakti, the goddess, the ultimate supreme power, in the form of Muktabai. Now these are going to be the 4 saints about whom we are going to talk, but before that I would like to talk about Sant Jnanadev. Of course, Sri Nivruttinath was the one who made molded the devotee. It was his devotee. And both of them, whenever we hear of stories, we'll be talking about them together. But Sant Jnanadev is today a heartthrob of millions of Varkaris, and they call him Mauli. Mauli means mother. So we will be talking about Sant Jnanadev, and it is his works, Jnaneshwari, which, as I said, was a commentary on Bhagavad Gita, which had 9,000 Prakrit Marathi, old ancient Marathi couplets. I was fortunate to be chosen to translate it into English couplet forms. And you shall be also, the books they are on Kindle, and they will be shown here in the outro later. So you will see the books, you can place the order, because he was the greatest promoter. I won't say promoter, he lived a complete yogic life, and which included, this Jnaneshwari includes 18 types of yoga. Any yoga mentioned in Indian philosophy will find its way into Jnanadev's works, Jnaneshwari. You can call it as a yoga of depression, you can call it as yoga of religion, yoga of selection, yoga of, take names, yoga, Kundalini yoga, Raj yoga, Karma yoga, Bhakti yoga, Jnana yoga. You take any name and it can have its own roots in Sant Jnanadev's Jnaneshwari, which has an extensive commentary on Bhagavad Gita. I shall be telling you interesting stories about Sant Jnanadev, I'm tempted to start one, not realizing how much this is. But I will tell you a small little story and we shall stop here. The story goes in such a way that people later came, as he was a great saint, people started coming to him to ask and seek advice and guidance. So one day, an old lady, very old lady, she comes and she says, Jnana, that they used to call him with love. He was a young boy. She says, Jnana, my grandson keeps on eating jaggery. Every day he steals 2 rupees from whatever I earn during the day. I go around and seek alms and come. But he takes away 2 rupees and he eats jaggery. Now she says, please tell him not to steal, not to eat so much jaggery. Now Jnanadev could have just repeated the message. The lady had such tremendous adoration for Jnanadev and such respect, and she was so sure that he was Lord Narayana that she felt his saying will make the difference. But Jnanadev does not say it immediately. He says, why don't you do one thing? Come after a week and see me. So all the others around were quite surprised. They said, why was this lady sent away for a week? What was so difficult for Jnanadev to say? It was not a Vedic question that he needed to study or something. And they go away. After they go away, then Jnanadev comes home and he tells his sister, who now cooks the meals, he tells his sister, he says, don't use jaggery in my food for a week. And for a week, Jnanadev does not consume or taste jaggery. And then after a week, he goes and he tells, the lady comes again with her grandson. And he just looks at him, he says, you're going to promise her not to eat jaggery, not to steal money for jaggery. And what may, it is so said that the boy gets over his habit. The saints have to practice before preaching. That is when the words of saints will be valued. We will continue with the certain stories of Jnanadev, followed by some of the stories of Navnath, the 9 great saints, which school of thought, it was Nath Sampradaya, school of thought, which had its influence on Sant Jnanadev. Actually, he set up the Varkari Pantha, but he was influenced by Nath Sampradaya. He was born Vaishnava, a devotee of Lord Vitthala, but he was initiated into spiritualism by Shaiva gurus. So here was a beautiful blend of Sant Jnanadev, who was born a Vaishnava and who observed the values of Shaiva school of thought and created a beautiful new cult, Varkari cult, along with a school of thought which he promoted and lived to the end. That was Guru Bhakti Yog. Remember, friends, his father was asked by the Guru to leave sannyas and go back to family life. And knowing that he would be thrown into exile, yet Vitthal Pant had accepted the challenge. He had lived Guru's words, and it was there which laid the basic impressions. They were engraved on the little heart of Jnanadev. So he was one of the tallest promoters of Guru Bhakti Yoga. Well, I tend to follow his footsteps. Wish me luck and join me in my journey. This is Swami Radhikanand from Pune.